Hello everyone again. So obviously you should have been able to log in now and have a little coordination around the menus and whatnot. Hopefully set your notifications tab up, which is great. So the next bit is for me to really focus on the learner menu, the learner side, which is what we're really all here for. Okay, so if I click on the learner's menu, what you need to do after tomorrow is, if you can all send me an email. My email address is simon.berry@cityandguilds.com, and just let me know what kind of qualification that you deliver. I can then set a test learner up for you with that qualification, so then you can then have a practice. So then what you would need to do is, once I've sent you that, you can click find courses that you assess, and then change the status to test learner. You wouldn't normally do this, you'd be active for live learners, but for the purpose of practicing, we need to change it to test. So if I click search learners, what we get is all my test learners. So I got Daffy Duck and Roadrunner. So what does this menu show me? Okay, so for Roadrunner, for example, works at Pathways Training, doing the level 3 diploma in business admin. These are all the units they currently do, and they've only brought through, well, they brought through mandatory and optional because I've chosen them. So anything in grey, so any units that are in grey show not started. Anything that goes blue is then started. When it goes green, it's completed. When it goes pink, it's verified. And when it shows orange, it's referred. Okay, so don't have to remember that. That status is by there. Okay. So we can obviously choose them now, and they'll just update automatically. You haven't got to obviously color them yourself. They get updated as and when you complete them. So you've also got a RAG rating. So the RAG rating, for some people who don't know the abbreviation of RAG, it's red, amber, green. So my interpretation of RAG is very simply, if someone's on target, they're green. If they're just a little bit behind target, but we think they'll still finish, they're amber. And if they're behind target and there's going to be problems then finishing, it's red. This is set by you, the assessor. So all I will say to you is, if you set someone on a green status all year round and then they don't complete, then obviously it's going to be quite a bad reflection on yourself. So just be honest with this. If someone's behind target, then just rate them that. Okay. Now, the system does track all the changes. So if you do change it from red to amber to back to red, it will go through all them changes. And I'll show you where to change that now. The next one, we got the progression bar. So the progression bar, we've got 3 different progressions. So we've got expected progression, which is rated on the dates. So if a learner's on for a year, when they get halfway through, we'll expect them to be on 50%. Okay. The started progression goes up as soon as the learner starts uploading evidence and you start loading evidence to units. So this is your more holistic approach. So this is where you working through the units and not complete them, but as and when you start working on, if you could be working on 4 or 5 units at a time, this will return that percentage. If and when you start doing units 1 at a time, you go to the completed progression. So that'll reflect if you start doing 1 unit at a time. So we do the both because some different qualifications do different units. Just cut my zoom a little bit. And then zoom out again. Okay. So on here then, we've got a comment box. So if I hit that, I can make a comment about the learner and the learner won't see it. So obviously we'll be very careful about what we write in here for obvious reasons. Can't put, for example, Johnny is a pain and I don't like going to see him. It's probably more constructive than that. So what we're looking for in here is probably learning needs, dyslexia. It's kind of letting the IQA know that there's obviously some learning needs with the learner. We've then got evidence uploads. So that button tells you how many evidence uploads has been since the last time you visited the file. This one is how many contact diaries since you last visited the file. And this one just gives you some stats on the learners we'll go and see now in a minute. Okay, so that's when you search for learners. These are just kind of your views. But if I go into Roadrunner, if I click on his name first of all, That will take me into his overarching bit. This is where I can set the RAG. So if I click on RAG, I can change it to green, and that will show then that I've rated this green. Okay. If I then go back in and change it, obviously you can see then there's all the track changes. Okay. So I then change it to amber. It gives you all the history of it. Let's talk about it to green anyway. Okay. If I click onto the unit title of the qualification, it will then take me into their portfolio. So I've got the name of the course. Okay, so these buttons at the top here, I've got course snapshot, which is basically a print out of all the criteria. Now, I don't know why you'd want this, and someone along the lines asked for this. Not your company, but someone at his company's asked for this. But basically, it's just a simple print out of all the criteria. Why you'd want to print out all that for, I don't know, because you've got it in the portfolio. But it's a print out of all the criteria. Unit selection. So this course has got 2 mandatory units. I've already selected some optionals for this course. This is where you can select the optional units. Okay, so by dragging that down and selecting units that I want to select. Okay. Then at the bottom then it does give you your credit values. So once you've hit over the credit values, these buttons go green and it tells you've hit the required level. Okay, what it doesn't take into consideration is bad sector units. You have to obviously be aware of them yourself. Okay. Okay, assessor declaration. It's basically, I declare that this has all been worked, I've assessed all the work and it meets all the criteria, ready for summative IQA. So that's what you would put into there. You click I accept and it'll just put a stamp in the system. If you press it by mistake, don't worry, you can just do it again, it's not a problem. Learn a PDR. So I did show you a PDR in the last video, but you've got access to change your PDR, which is on the left hand side here. But you also got access to Learn a PDR as well, where they can keep up to date with their competence. This is more for management qualifications, but obviously you can do it. And then we've got email login details button. So what you can do is, if the learner forgets their password, you can hit that button and that will email a reset password to them. Okay, so that will just do that quite straightforward. Okay. Now, the main qualifications. We've got Roadrunner at Pathways Training, Assessor Simon Berry, Verifiers Rose Williams. Then that's the start completed and the expected start date and end date. We've then got the course folder. So the course folder is simply all the criteria and all different units. So we've got 204.1, 2.3. If I click on 204.1, for example, that'll take me into the learning outcome. This unit aims development skills. We've got the standard overview document. So if I click on that, that will open up and you can see the standard overview document, which we built in automatically already. Okay. Then we've got the evidence record sheets. So this is where the criteria and this is where the evidence gets stored against. Okay, so all this is built in, a bit like what you've got for your manual, you print the manual paper portfolios, you print them out. This is where they all built in the system into the course folder. We then got evidence folder. So this is where all the evidence is stored. So this is like the back of your portfolio when evidence number 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth. What you can see is I've uploaded evidence already, and you can see that Simon's uploaded it and where it's been used. Okay, but we'll do some evidence now in a bit. Registration. The registration tab just contains all the data of the learner. So personal details like name, postcode, address, and so forth. We then have contact diary. The contact diary, for me, I would call this the learner journey. So this is the everything that happens in the system gets recorded in here. So any assessment feedback that gets done, any IQA that gets done, anything the learner does, doesn't turn up for appointments or some great support, blah, 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 then all this gets recorded in the system, okay? So anything that happens goes in the contact diary. So this is really important, keeping this up to date, because it's the place where it can protect you as obviously an assessor. We have reviews, the ability to store the review has happened. Some people will use this, some people won't. This is so your 61-day contractual review. So you can record this happened. You still have to carry out manually, but this is just a recording of this happened. But what you can do is obviously record this happened, but more importantly, you can attach the scanned copy if you want to into there. Some people are going to use it, some people are not. Journey. This just gives you an overview of the qualification. So how many total units, units are in, started, completed, verified. But what it does is give you some really important login data as well. So how many times the learner's logged in, what they've done, and so forth. So that will just give you, making sure the learner is interacting with the portfolio. Okay. What it would also do is give you some data on evidence types. So how many different evidence types you use in the system, and then who's uploaded the most documents. So if there's 20 documents being uploaded, 12 could be by the learner and 8 by the assessor. Or that's what we'd hope anyway. So that's the menus. So fairly straightforward. Course is obviously where the criteria is, the evidence is where the evidence is, the registration is the personal details, the contact is where everything is stored, and then reviews and journey. Okay, so what we've got is setting work for the learner. Okay, so what would I do with a learner? Okay, so my first visit, I would sit with the learner, I'd explain the qualification, choose the optional units, and then I'd probably set them some work. So how do I do that? Okay, so I'd click on the contact ID. Okay, I would click create entry. You've got entry label general. If I drop that down, there's a couple of different entry labels you can use across it, just so you can see the different kind of ones. So you've got interim, obviously assessment feedback, supported learning, remote planning, and so forth. So you can have a look at them for yourself at some point. But you can use them. At this point, I would suggest not to use planning because it locks units down, but I would probably just use general at the moment. Then we've got the description. So I'm only going to suggest what you should put in here, but it's entirely up to you what you put in here. Okay, so I would put in here, say unit 201.1, produce. I don't know if this is the side of mine, I'm just guessing. So you would probably put, I would probably put the unit, the learning outcome, and then the title of it as well. And in the feedback button, I would be putting, please, for the purposes of today, I'm not going to put too much in, but I would expect you to put more information in as an assessor to support them. So I'll put more in, but obviously for the day we won't. So I put unit 201.1, produce business documents. Then in the feedback, please complete knowledge questions. This is where I can set the appointment. So, okay, I want this completed for a week's time. So I put the date in. Now, acknowledgement require learner. I would tick this and I'll show you why that's important now. So if I click save, would you like to add an appointment for this meeting? So I say yes. This will now put this appointment into my calendar. Okay, so as you can see, Roadrunner, business admin, company colleague Kumai, meeting with Roadrunner, location, Astrad, Melek. General, so start time, 10 o'clock. I'm gonna be there for an hour. Okay, click save. That will add that to my appointments calendar straight away. And I'll put that to test now in a minute. I then got the ability to attach a document if I want to. So attach a document to this. If I was asking them to complete knowledge questions, I maybe would ask them, then attach the knowledge questions to it. But if you don't, you don't have to. At this point, then I click close. Wait for the system to update. Okay, so what you can see now in my contact diary, I've got description, produce business documents, please complete knowledge questions, learner hasn't acknowledged it. Okay, and then that's the date and time of my next appointment. If I go to my appointments calendar, go to July, you'll see meeting with Roadrunner 10 o'clock, Ashad Malak. So you can see how that's gone in there. Okay, right, so I'm now going to log out. I'm going to log back in as Roadrunner. So I'm going to log in as the learner. Obviously, the learner will be doing this now, but I'm just going to log in as Roadrunner. Okay, so it's asking me to change your password. So when I set your learners up, I'll give you your passwords anyway, but I want to make sure that I set up the right qualifications for you. Okay, so you've got terms and conditions. So straight away, Roadrunner would have had an email to say the assessor set you some work, and as you can see now, latest contact diary entries, produce business documents. So if I click into there, that will open up the contact diary, and I can now, as a learner, I can go, right, he wants me to do that, and he wants me to complete the knowledge questions. He's asked me to acknowledge it, so if I tick that box there, that's date, times, and stamps when I acknowledged it. I can also see now 4th of July, like he wants it done by then. Okay, great. So I always talk perfect world, so pretend this learner is really good. So now the learner would go off and complete the work. So what would they do? So very simply, they would go to their evidence folder. Okay. They would click evidence wizard. Okay. Then, so it's very simply evidence folder. They click evidence wizard, and it opens up this wizard here. They have two options: upload an existing piece of evidence, or they would create an evidence. Create an evidence would be creating something from scratch, and you would just let them type into a free format notepad. I would suggest, though, a lot of people will already have that evidence. So let's click upload evidence. Then there's 4 steps they have to go through. So first of all, we would click browse files, and then I'll just attach something. Okay, just attach that for a moment. And that's just attach that document. You can then attach additional documents as well. Okay, so action plans and so forth. And that's attach them 2 documents. Okay, we can then go to the details tab. The title of the first document is being brought through. These are my questions. So learner would just maybe put some description in. Don't have to, but they can. Then they would click on the type, and then they would select what it would be. There is one for don't know, but the more you encourage don't know, the more likely they're going to use don't know. So at this point, let's encourage them to do question. Then the final bit is them cross-referencing. Now, they're not actually cross-referencing. Don't ever have a heart attack now. They're not actually cross-referencing. All they're doing is suggesting what this means. You as the assessor still have to mark it as that you agree with it. So it's only them suggesting what I think it means. So I would encourage them to do this. So let's go into 204.1, and let's pretend I've met against these, and I'll just take them 4. Okay, they will never cross-reference holistically. That is still you, but let's just do this for the moment. So click save. Ooh. Just take a little bit longer to save. Just bear with me. Okay, so obviously I'll just do that again very quickly because the system didn't save then. It's probably because I'm using late. They might have done an update as I'm doing this. So it's quite late I'm doing this. So I'll just choose that document. So I'll go back through the details. And then type observation, cross-referencing. I'll go back to 204, and I'll tick these again. Yeah, lovely. So that was just a little error in the system then. So close. What you'll see then, evidence 3, I can see that I've uploaded that. And then it's used in 204.1. Roadrunner's when it was uploaded it. Type observation, they can delete it. So they can delete it up until the time until you assess it. Okay. So last time uploading, do you think learners could do that? I think they could with a bit of training. I will record a video for learners so we can give that to the learners. Okay. So there is one final step they have to go through. So if I go to course folder, as you can see, 204.1 is now blue and it's gone started. So if I click into this bit here, you can see now my document is there and it's gone against there. So there's a button here for submit your competence claim. It's really important they press this. So if I hit submit your competence claim, press OK. Okay, that's them submit it to you as a learner. Okay, so that's really important for them to do that to make your life a lot easier. And again, I will reiterate that on the learner video. So if I log out and then log back in as the assessor, what you'll see on my homepage now, Roadrunner, waiting review, and they've submitted 204.1 to me. That's because they hit submit your competence claim. If they didn't do that for whatever reason, you would still get an email to say they've uploaded evidence, but it just wouldn't come on your homepage. So it's really quite important they do that because it makes life easier for you. If I click on Roadrunner's name, that will take me into their overarching portfolio. But if I click on this will take me physically into where I cross-referenced. So as an assessor now, I would maybe open that document up. I'm not going to because I know what it is already. But then you can see black ticks. So learner ticks are black ticks. So if I hover over the first tick, right, describe systems and procedures. Okay, yeah, I think they've met that. So if I tick it once, it goes green. That means I accept it. This one, he's almost made it. So if I tick it twice, it puts a question mark. So that maybe mean that they need a bit of further annotation. He hasn't met this at all. So if I click it once, then twice, then a third time, it removes it. Okay, so that gives you the ability to remove something if someone just trigger happy ticks things. I then click save. That then locks it into the system, so they again can't delete that evidence either. So the next step then is to provide some feedback. Okay, so you've done that, you need to provide feedback. There's two buttons. There's an accept button and return. You only click the accept button, excuse me, when all these outcomes are complete. So when you've met all this 3-4 times and it's all complete, you click accept. This is accepting the whole outcome is complete. It's not just accepting like what they've cross-referenced. This is accepting the whole unit is complete. So at this stage, because the learner's only done one bit of document, there's only met 1 or 2 bits of criteria, I would click return. This would open up a contact diary, labels feedback, assessment feedback. Element 204.1 has been returned. Good work with some good answers. Can you now obtain a witness statement covering, etc., etc. You can then put in the next meeting appointment date. So for example, we could say the 5th, require learner to acknowledge, and then the cycle starts again. Okay, I won't create the appointment for this one, just a thing. Okay, so then we click close. Okay, if I click back on my home page now, you will see that that's left the assess waiting review. Because I've assessed it now, it's now gone. Okay, so let's go back into Roadrunner. So as you can see, the started and completed progression has gone up a little bit. So 204.1, you can see now the status has gone reviewed and returned. So I've reviewed it and I've returned it back to the learner. If you go onto the contact diary, you can now see the contact diary started to populate now. There's my setting work, learners acknowledged it. There's my assessment feedback. So you can start to see a history building up. Okay. So just to kind of focus in on what you can do as an assessor, you can do everything the learner can do. So you can upload evidence as well. So you have to upload discussions. You could also upload evidence for the learner if you wanted to. So I'll just show you the differences. If I click Evidence Wizard, you have an extra option for create observation, but I probably would suggest you probably just do upload evidence because you'd already have the observation somewhere else. So if I click upload evidence and I click browse, I'll attach a slightly different document this time. And then details, just put anything in there. I'll call this a product this time. Cost referencing, I'll go back into tool 4.1 and I'll tick against this criteria. I'll do it all this time. But if you notice, the ticks are already green. So I haven't got to go and reassess my own work. It just goes in there. It just goes in automatically as green. You haven't got to go back in and reassess your own work. So if I click save and then close, that will put that evidence in there straight away. If I go back to my course folder, 204.1, still being returned back to the learner because they've still got to do work towards it. And as you can see, the tick's going green straight away. Okay. If I did want to sign this unit off because I think it's been met, I would click that button. That would complete all the outcomes at the bottom. I click save. And then I would click the accept button. The accept button is exactly the same, open a contact diary, but this time it's accepted is complete. And then just put well done. And then maybe I won't put put next appointment date because they've completed this bit. I will also require the learner. Click save. And I click close. What that will then do is mark this unit as complete. So as you can see, 45% complete because that tick is now complete and it shows reviewed and accepted. Okay, so then you just work on the next outcome and so forth. Quite straightforward. What I will say to you all is if you email me, so my email address is simon.berry@cityandguilds, so cityandguilds.com. And then if you email me the qualification you deliver, the main one that you deliver, I will then set a test learner up, give you the details, so then you can start having a play with the system. Because that's the most important bit now, is having a play with the system. It's no good me showing you all this. You really got to go and use the system to the best you can. Okay. One last thing I can show you on the course folder. If you ever get to the end of a portfolio when you're almost complete and you just need, well, what do I need left to finish to complete? Rather than going through all the evidence record sheets and looking where the ticks are, we have something called a gap analysis. Okay, so if you hit the gap analysis, this will show me everything I got left to complete. So tool 4.1 you can see has been signed off, so nothing to complete for there. But point 2, I've got this criteria left to sign off. But what it also tells me is how many pieces of evidence is already referenced against that criteria. Now you can print this off or you can just work through it. It's fine, it's up to you. Okay, the system really is quite straightforward. It's not any complicated than it is. It will take a while getting used to a digital system. And as I said, if you can become more digital, so upload your discussions by audio and any videos, etc., that will make life a lot easier. But what I will say to you is just got to go and use the system. And please, you know, what I will say is there is plenty of support. I'm there to kind of do any more webinars. And if you want another face-to-face, I'll make sure that will happen. But also we have a support team in place. Okay, so that support team is available Monday to Friday, 9 till 5. They are based in Glasgow, Scotland. And they are 4 ladies sat in an office, and they're not technical people. They know the system inside out, and they're there for you to ring Monday, Friday, as I said, 9 till 5. Their number is 0141 341 5730. And obviously, like I said, they're there to help you. So if you've got a query or a problem, just give them a ring. They'll talk you through it, no problem at all. There's no like other departments. They are frontline support, and that's it. If you require a further demo from me, just drop me an email, and I will then give you a more detailed demo, one-to-one or something, and have a look at maybe more specifics of your qualification. but don't be afraid to get in contact with us. But you do need to email me, so simon.berry@cityandguilds.com. Email me the qualification to deliver so I can set you up a test learner so you can have a play with the system. That's really important to do that. So if you do that, that'll be really good. But just have a play with the system, work on it, and just go from there. Okay, so thanks very much all, and I'll be speaking to you all very soon. Thank you. Bye.